What if the moment that changes everything is the one nobody sees coming? Imagine stepping into a world where every glance is a test, every whispered laugh is a warning, and you, carrying the weight of 1,000 silent stories, are the target before the first word is spoken. The first day of autumn always has a certain sharpness in the air, as if the season itself is bracing for impact. The bell rings, reverberating through the long, echoing halls of Millertown High. Lockers slam, sneakers squeak, and the low hum of anticipation threads through the crowd. The front doors open, and there he is, the new kid. He stands a little apart from the others, backpack slung low, hood up against the morning drizzle. His name, Alex, hasn't yet settled on anyone's tongue, but his presence sends a ripple across the routine. Teachers glance over with cautious interest. Students assess, measure, judge. There is a rhythm to this place, and outsiders rarely make it past the first chorus without stumbling. Alex's gaze is steady but guarded. He moves quietly, almost as if he's trying not to disturb the dust on old memories. There's a slight limp in his step, the kind that suggests an old injury. Maybe from a bike, maybe from something nobody will ever ask about. The world seems to slow around him as he weaves through the clusters of students, each group shifting just enough to remind him where he doesn't belong. A trio near the lockers, Evan, big and broad, Marcus, sly-eyed, and Sadie, all sharp edges, watches him. Their laughter is a little too loud, their smiles a little too pointed. Alex can feel the weight of their gaze, and for a moment his jaw clenches. But he says nothing. Instead, he finds his locker, the one at the very end of the hall, like a footnote in a story already written. The morning classes pass in a blur of introductions and half-hearted welcomes. In each room, Alex sits near the back, scanning faces, picking up on the unwritten rules. He notices the way eyes flicker to him when the teacher isn't looking. He feels the way conversations bend around him, avoiding contact, yet unable to resist the pull of the unknown. He's been the new kid before, enough times to know that sometimes the worst wounds don't leave marks. Lunchtime comes, and the cafeteria is its own battlefield. Tables are claimed territories. Alex hovers at the edge, tray in hand, scanning for a place to sit. Whispers trail after him, rumors already sprouting. Someone snickers. "Look at the limp. Probably fake, trying to get sympathy." Another voice chimes in. "Bet he won't last a week." Alex chooses the farthest table, near the windows. The world outside is grey and wet, rain tracing silent lines down the glass. He eats slowly, methodically, tuning out the din, but the tension in the room is palpable, a current waiting for a spark. Evan, Marcus, and Sadie seize their moment. They approach with the swagger of those who know their power is unchallenged. Evan drops his bag onto the table, sending Alex's apple rolling. Sadie's laugh is high and brittle. Marcus leans in close, too close. "You lost, new kid," he sneers. Alex looks up, meeting Marcus's gaze. His eyes are calm, almost too calm. For a heartbeat, nobody moves. The rain drums harder against the windows, as if the world itself is holding its breath. "So, you don't talk? What's the matter? Cat got your tongue?" Sadie taunts, her words sharp as glass. Alex remains silent, but there's a flicker behind his eyes, a shadow of something unspoken. He picks up his apple, sets it back on the tray, and without a word, stands up, taking his lunch with him. The table watches, surprised. It's not defiance, not exactly. It's something quieter, deeper, a refusal to give them what they want. He spends the rest of lunch outside, under the awning near the gym, watching rain pool in the cracks of the pavement. His fingers trace the scars on his left wrist, a memory he's not ready to revisit. In that moment, he's utterly alone, but not defeated. There is a resilience in his solitude, a strength in silence, but inside the cafeteria, the story is already growing. "Did you see that? Didn't even fight back," Marcus brags, emboldened by the audience. Evan grins. "We'll have to make him talk." Sadie just watches the window, her eyes following Alex's outline through the glass, unsettled for reasons she can't explain. As the final bell rings and the day unwinds, a chill settles over the school. The new kid is no longer invisible. He is a question mark, a story unwritten, a challenge that the rulers of Millertown High cannot resist. The air is thick with the promise of trouble, the kind that changes people for better or worse. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. If this story reminds you of something you've lived through, share your experience in the comments. It might touch someone's heart today. Now take a deep breath and get ready for a journey that might just change the way you see the world. Because tomorrow, the games truly begin, and nobody can predict how far the storm will spread. Morning breaks heavy and grey, rain clouds lingering as if refusing to leave the night behind. The campus, slick with puddles and shimmering reflections, feels strangely claustrophobic. Alex moves through the halls with his hood pulled lower, shoulders slightly hunched, eyes fixed on the ground. But it's impossible to shrink in a place where everyone is already watching. Whispers precede him now. The hallway seems to stretch with every step he takes. Old posters for forgotten events flutter on the walls, their edges curling as voices slip through the gaps. He's so weird. Why won't he talk? Bet he's hiding something. Alex feels their words grazing him, tiny nicks that sting, but he refuses to quicken his pace. He's learned the hard way that running only feeds the wolves. It doesn't take long before the trio blocks his path. Evan's grin is wide, forced, almost theatrical. Marcus's hands are shoved deep in his pockets, fingers clenching, unclenching. Sadie stands apart, arms folded, her gaze flickering between Alex and her friends. There's an energy here, brittle and sharp, the kind that makes the air itself vibrate. Evan steps forward, voice low and mocking. "Did you enjoy your little lunch in the rain, hero?" His words draw a few onlookers. Not friends, just curious faces, students craving distraction. Alex meets Evan's stare, his face unreadable. The silence stretches until it almost snaps. Marcus laughs too loudly. "Maybe you don't speak English, huh?" His laughter cracks, echoing down the hall. Sadie says nothing, her jaw tight, eyes narrowing. Alex just moves aside, calm, measured. He doesn't push back, doesn't flinch, just walks around the group and continues down the hallway. His composure unsettles them in a way they can't admit. For a moment, Sadie's mask slips. Something flickers in her eyes. Uncertainty, maybe even shame. But Evan and Marcus double down. "He thinks he's better than us," Evan mutters, anger simmering just below the surface. The decision is made in that unspoken space between them. The new kid has to be broken. In class, Alex becomes a ghost. The teacher calls on him, and he answers with soft, precise words, never offering more than what's required. When someone tries to trip him as he takes his seat, he simply sidesteps, no anger, no drama. It's as if he's immune to their games, or worse, as if he's seen all this before. By midday, a rumor has already begun to coil around the lockers. Someone claims Alex was kicked out of his last school for fighting. Someone else swears he's got a police record. The truth is irrelevant. The narrative is out of his hands. Alex hears the whispers, but lets them pass. Each lie another stone in the wall they're building around him. Lunch. Again. This time the cafeteria is noisier, the air thicker with expectation. Alex walks in and every head seems to turn. He moves toward his table by the window, but it's already occupied. Evan, Marcus, and their entourage sprawled out, legs stretched, backpacks tossed carelessly across the benches. A hush falls. For a heartbeat, it seems like everything is suspended, every eye watching. Evan stands, steps right into Alex's path, and for the briefest moment, they're close enough to hear each other breathe. "What? You think this is your table now?" Evan challenges, his voice a blade wrapped in velvet. Alex looks past him, unblinking. "It's just a table," he says quietly. The words hang in the air, disarming, disappointing. Evan wants a fight, a reaction, but Alex's calm is a wall he can't breach. Suddenly Marcus grabs Alex's tray, flipping it so food tumbles onto the floor. The cafeteria explodes in laughter, sharp and shrill, echoing against tile and metal. Someone films it on their phone. Sadie watches, her lips pressed thin, regret flickering across her face before she looks away. Alex stands there, hands clenched, jaw tight. He kneels to pick up what he can, refusing to give them the spectacle they crave. The custodian appears, silent and watchful, meeting Alex's eyes with a nod of understanding. Outside, rain pounds the pavement, thunder rolling in the distance. The world feels heavy, like it's holding something back. After school, Alex lingers in the empty gym, sitting on the bleachers. He breathes deeply, trying to untangle the knot inside his chest. Shadows creep along the polished floor, and for the first time since he arrived, his mask slips. A single tear escapes, hot and angry. He's not just the new kid, not just a target. There's a history behind his silence, a story that still haunts his dreams. But what Alex doesn't know is that someone has been watching him. A quiet presence, neither friend nor foe, waiting for the right moment to step forward. As the rain falls harder, fate sharpens its blade. If you've ever felt the sting of being outnumbered, or watched injustice unfold and wondered what you would do, let me know in the comments below. Your story might be what someone else needs to hear. And just when the darkness feels total, the first cracks of light begin to appear. But whose side will the truth be on when everything comes undone? As dawn breaks on a Thursday morning, there's a nervous hum in the air, as if the school itself senses a shift. The storm outside has passed, leaving the world scrubbed clean. But inside Millertown High, a different storm gathers momentum. One made of rumor and resentment, of invisible lines drawn and crossed. Alex arrives earlier than usual. The halls are nearly empty, their silence ringing louder than the bell ever could. He moves to his locker, hands steady despite the ache in his chest. The events of yesterday replay in fragments. Laughter, spilled food, the chill of humiliation settling over him like a second skin. Yet his eyes hold a quiet determination, a promise made to himself in the lonely echo of the gym. He opens his locker and finds a note, folded with cruel precision. 3 words written in jagged black ink, "Go back home." He reads it, then tears it into neat pieces, dropping them into the trash without a flicker of emotion. If this is their best, he thinks, they still don't know what he's survived. By the first period, tension curls through the corridors. Evan and Marcus swagger past him, their laughter brittle, buoyed by the audience that follows in their wake. But something's changed. Alex doesn't shrink away. He meets their gaze, unwavering. For every cruel comment, every shoulder bump, he gives nothing, no fear, no anger, just that steady, unreadable calm. In English class, Sadie finds herself watching Alex. She's never seen someone so quiet, so resolute. It unnerves her, this silence that refuses to shatter. During a group project, she catches his eyes, searching for the story behind them, but he only offers a small, polite nod. The others in their group say little, but the room feels charged, as if everyone is waiting for something to break. By lunchtime, the rumor mill has reached a fever pitch. Someone claims Alex is a psycho. Someone else whispers he's dangerous. The stories grow wilder with each telling, but the tide is turning, subtle, slow. A few students, usually invisible themselves, start to glance at Alex with something like sympathy. One girl, small and anxious, slips him a clean napkin as he sits alone. He thanks her, his voice soft, gratitude flickering in his eyes. But for Evan and Marcus, this new current is intolerable. Their power, once absolute, now feels threatened. They corner Alex by the gym after lunch, away from teachers and prying eyes. Sadie lingers nearby, uncertain, torn between loyalty and the sharp pang of guilt. Evan shoves Alex's shoulder, the act rougher than before. "You think you're better than us?" He spits, voice low. Marcus circles, arms crossed, face twisted with anger. Alex stands his ground, breath measured. A small crowd gathers, tension coiling tighter. Someone urges, "Just walk away, man." But the lines have been drawn. The air is thick with anticipation. Alex speaks, voice steady, eyes fixed on Evan. "I'm not here to fight you." His words are simple, but they land with a weight no punch could match. Evan laughs, a sharp, broken sound. "Then what are you here for? To make us look stupid?" Alex shakes his head, almost sadly. "You do that all by yourself." A hush falls. The crowd murmurs, torn between awe and fear. Marcus lunges forward, shoving Alex against the lockers. The metallic clang echoes, sharp as thunder. For a heartbeat, Alex's composure falters. The pain flashes across his face, but he steadies himself, refusing to retaliate. And then a voice breaks the spell. A teacher, Mr. Harlan, his tone sharp with authority. The crowd scatters, the spell broken. Evan and Marcus slip away, muttering curses under their breath. Sadie stays, frozen by the lockers, watching Alex gather his things with shaking hands. After school, as the sun slips below the horizon, Alex finds a scrap of peace beneath the bleachers. The air is cool, heavy, with the scent of wet grass and old wood. He closes his eyes, letting the world fall away. The worst part isn't the pain or the loneliness. It's the knowledge that no matter how hard he tries, the past is always waiting, just out of sight. But as he sits there, lost in thought, footsteps approach. It's Sadie. She stands awkwardly at first, torn by something deeper than peer pressure. Finally, she sits beside him, the silence stretching between them. For a while, neither speaks. The sky above them glows with the last light of day. Sadie's voice is quiet, uncertain. "Why don't you just fight back?" Alex opens his eyes, looking at her not with anger, but with a kind of weary understanding. Because fighting doesn't end it. It just makes it worse. I've seen what that leads to. She absorbs this, struggling with the weight of her own complicity. Her shoulders tremble and her voice cracks. "I'm sorry for what they did. For what I did." Alex nods, accepting the apology but not letting it erase the pain. He stands, gathering his bag, but before he leaves, he looks at Sadie, voice steady. It's never too late to do the right thing. As he walks away, the world feels different, fragile, uncertain, but full of possibility. The rules have changed and everyone knows it. Even Evan and Marcus, watching from the shadows, sense that something powerful has shifted. But just when it seems things might settle, a single text message appears on every phone in school. A photo of Alex, bruised against the lockers, with a cruel caption beneath. Now the whole school is watching, but whose truth will they choose to believe? Night falls heavy over Millertown, and the flickering streetlights cast restless shadows on bedroom walls. In the hush of evening, the story spreads faster than wildfire. Alex's bruised face, captured in a single merciless frame, now lives on every screen. Comments pile up. Some are taunts, some are questions, and a handful are quietly horrified. Alone in his room, Alex scrolls through the avalanche of messages, his face lit blue by the harsh glow. His silence, once his armor, now feels like a cage. The past has always stalked him, quiet as a shadow. Now it moves in closer, painfully familiar. The scars on his wrist tingle as he clenches his fist, memory and reality twisting together. In the darkness, he hears echoes, slammed doors, raised voices, the crack of fists on walls. He breathes in slow, grounding himself in the steady rhythm of the present. But the noise from his old life never truly leaves. He promised himself when he started over, no more violence, no more giving power to anger. Meanwhile, Sadie can't sleep. Guilt gnaws at her, restless and sharp. She replays the afternoon, the look in Alex's eyes, so calm, so tired. She scrolls through her phone, watching classmates pile on, some gleeful, some indifferent. She remembers her own laughter, remembers how easy it was to join in. But now, in the silence of her room, the cruelty feels unbearable. She taps out a message, "I'm sorry," but can't bring herself to send it. Elsewhere, Marcus and Evan grow bolder. Their group chat is a flurry of plans, of jokes, of talk about teaching Alex a real lesson. The taste of power is sweet, but it is tinged with something sour. The awareness that the school is watching now, that lines are being crossed. Still, they press on, unable or unwilling to see the edge they are approaching. By morning, everything has changed. Alex's name is whispered everywhere, a test of loyalty, a challenge. Some students stare at him with new respect, others with fresh malice. A few avert their eyes, afraid of what they might see reflected there. In science class, a substitute teacher asks everyone to work in pairs. The room falls into uneasy silence. No one moves toward Alex. For a long moment, he just sits, feeling the weight of eyes on his back. But then softly, Sadie slides into the empty seat beside him. She doesn't say anything at first, just opens her notebook and begins working. The room buzzes with low speculation. When their hands brush, reaching for a pencil, Sadie finally whispers, "Don't let them change who you are." Alex blinks, startled by her kindness. It isn't much, but it is something, enough to crack the shell of loneliness that has settled around him. They work together in silence, and for the first time, he lets himself believe that maybe, just maybe, not everyone wants to see him fall. But the reprieve is brief. At lunch, Alex finds his locker vandalized, scrawled insults, a crude drawing. His heart sinks, but he straightens his shoulders and begins to clean it. The act feels defiant in its quietness. A small group gathers to watch. Some snicker, but one boy, younger and nervous, steps forward to help. His hands shake as he offers a damp paper towel. Alex thanks him, voice rough with emotion. The boy shrugs, glancing away, but doesn't leave. That's when Evan and Marcus appear, their bravado magnified by the audience. Evan sneers, "Got yourself a little helper now." That's cute. He grabs the boy's shoulder, shoving him aside. Alex's eyes darken, but he keeps his voice level. "Leave him alone." The hallway freezes. There's a charge in the air, electric and dangerous. Marcus laughs, stepping closer. "Or what? You'll finally fight back?" Alex's jaw tightens, but he refuses to take the bait. It doesn't have to be this way. For a moment, Evan hesitates, his mask flickering, but the need to save face wins out. He spits a final insult and storms off, Marcus trailing behind. Sadie, watching from the edge of the crowd, feels the decision crystallize inside her. She pushes through the ring of onlookers, standing beside Alex. "You don't have to do this alone," she says, her voice trembling but clear. Others, emboldened, step forward too, one, then another. The spell is broken, the tide beginning to turn. That night, Alex sits on his bed, turning the day over in his mind. He remembers every face, every word, every moment of pain and hope tangled together. His phone buzzes. This time the message is different. "You're stronger than you think. Don't give up." The past still lingers, but for the first time in a long while, the future feels possible. But just as hope flickers, a rumor surfaces. Someone claims Alex's old life holds a secret darker than anyone imagined. The question on everyone's lips, what is the new kid really running from? By Friday, the school pulses with restless energy, as if every wall is listening for what comes next. The rumor of Alex's secret grows louder, morphing with every retelling. Some say he was expelled for violence. Others whisper he was a victim of something no one dares to name. The lines that once divided bully from bystander blur, uncertainty creeping in where certainty used to live. As the morning drags on, Alex can feel the weight of curiosity pressing in from all sides. In every class, he senses eyes darting toward him, some sharp with suspicion, others soft with pity. It's as if his silence is no longer enough to protect him. He wants to disappear, to fold into invisibility, but the choice is not his anymore. By lunch, the tension is a living thing. Alex steps into the cafeteria, head held high. He can feel the pulse of the crowd, watchful, waiting. Sadie catches his eye and offers a small, nervous smile. The younger boy from the day before nods in solidarity. It's not much, but it gives Alex a sliver of courage. Suddenly, Evan and Marcus block his path, flanked by a handful of followers. The room quiets as Evan steps forward, voice low and cold. "You think you're special? You think you can come here and turn everyone against us?" Alex doesn't answer. The room is silent, but for the steady drum of his own heart. For a moment, even Evan hesitates, thrown by the calm in Alex's eyes. Then Marcus shoves Alex's shoulder. "Tell them what you did. Tell them why you really had to move here." Alex stands firm, refusing to give them the satisfaction of fear. But the silence demands an answer. It's Sadie who finally speaks, her voice trembling but loud enough to carry. "He doesn't owe you anything. None of us do." A hush falls, thicker than before. For the first time, Evan's confidence falters. His hands tremble as he points at Alex. "You're hiding something. Go on, tell everyone the truth." Alex's jaw clenches. He remembers the promises he made to himself, the reason he chose silence, but he also remembers the feeling of the younger boy's hand offering help, Sadie's whispered words, the subtle shifts in the faces around him. He takes a breath and turns to face the cafeteria, his voice clear, every syllable carefully measured. "I moved here because I had to, because the last time I fought back, someone got hurt badly, and I'll live with that for the rest of my life. But I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just want a chance to start over." The words land with a thud. For a moment, the silence is absolute. No laughter, no whispering, just the echo of Alex's confession settling into the bones of the building. Evan's face flushes, torn between anger and something that almost looks like shame. Marcus looks away, unable to meet Alex's eyes. The crowd shifts, murmurs rising, a mix of disbelief, sympathy, and, for a few, uncomfortable recognition. A teacher steps in, breaking the spell. "That's enough. Everyone, back to class." The crowd disperses, slower than usual, glancing back at Alex with new eyes. After school, the tension spills into the parking lot. Evan corners Alex, fists clenched, but this time his voice is uncertain. "Why didn't you just fight back?" Alex studies him for a moment, then answers softly, "Because I know what it's like to lose control, because I don't want anyone else to feel what I felt." Something cracks in Evan's bravado. He steps back, the anger draining out of him, replaced by confusion. Marcus stands behind him, silent, unsure. Sadie approaches, her gaze unwavering. "You changed something here, Alex, even if they don't see it yet." As dusk falls and the campus empties, Alex sits on the swings at the edge of the playground. The world feels quieter now, less hostile. He watches the sun dip below the horizon, the sky painted in bruised purples and gold. But just as hope settles, his phone buzzes. A message, anonymous, chilling. "You can't outrun the past forever. We know what you did." A cold shiver runs down Alex's spine. The storm may have broken, but another one is gathering just beyond the edge of sight. If you've ever faced a moment when telling the truth felt like standing alone against the world, share your story below. You never know who you might help. But what will happen when the past refuses to stay buried, and who will stand with Alex when the final reckoning comes? Night brings its own kind of storm, wind howling at the windows, shadows twisting across the ceiling, fear and memory colliding in the dark. Alex lies awake, staring at the faint glow of his phone. The message, "We know what you did," is burned behind his eyelids. For a long while, he debates telling someone. The urge to vanish, to run again, presses at his chest. But something new holds him in place. The sense that running won't save him, not this time. Morning dawns brittle and bright, the sky clear, the air sharp with the promise of change. At school, a strange quiet settles over the halls. The usual laughter is muted, faces pinched with anticipation. Word of the message has spread, but no one knows who sent it. Suspicion simmers, an invisible thread pulling everyone tight. Alex moves through his day in a daze, every nerve on edge. He feels the weight of every look, every half-whispered rumor. Sadie finds him at his locker, her voice low and urgent. "Don't let them get to you. Whatever this is, it isn't your fault." Her kindness is a lifeline, and Alex clings to it, forcing a small, grateful smile. But the world has a way of testing resolve. After lunch, Alex finds his way blocked by Evan and Marcus yet again, but their bravado is hollow now. Evan looks at Alex with something almost like regret. "You gonna tell everyone I'm a coward now?" he mutters, voice thick. Alex shakes his head. "You're not a coward, you're just afraid. We all are." The words hang there, fragile, unsteady. Marcus shifts, uncomfortable. For a moment it seems the tension will break into violence, but then Sadie steps between them, her eyes blazing. "Enough! This ends here, right now." A teacher appears, drawn by the commotion, but instead of anger or punishment, she simply listens, really listens, as Alex, Sadie, Evan and Marcus speak, all at once and over each other. Stories spill out, hurts, fears, mistakes. It's messy, raw, the kind of truth that can only surface when there's nothing left to lose. In the aftermath, the principal calls a meeting. Alex sits at the far end of a table surrounded by adults, teachers, counselors, parents. He tells his story, voice trembling but steady. He speaks of his old school, of the fight that changed everything, of the vow he made never to let violence define him again. There's no miracle, no sudden forgiveness, but there is understanding. A slow, tentative acknowledgement that hurt runs deeper than anyone realized. For the first time, Alex's silence becomes a bridge, not a wall. The days that follow are slow, uncertain. Some students reach out, others keep their distance, but something fundamental has shifted. Evan apologizes, awkward and unfinished. Marcus avoids Alex's eyes but mutters a grudging, "Sorry." Sadie is steadfast, never leaving Alex alone at lunch, laughing a little louder, inviting others to join. And yet the shadows linger. The anonymous messages continue, a steady drip of poison. The past refuses to let go, tugging at Alex's resolve. He finds solace in small things, the feel of the sun on his face, the quiet support of new friends, the fragile hope blooming inside him. One afternoon, as the sky turns gold, Alex stands in front of the school's notice board. Someone has pinned a letter there, unsigned. "Everyone deserves a second chance, even you, Alex. Don't give up." His hands tremble as he reads it, a strange warmth rising in his chest. That evening, he walks home alone. The world feels different, open, uncertain, but somehow lighter. He passes Evan, who nods in greeting, then keeps walking. At his doorstep, Alex pauses, watching the sun dip below the rooftops. The future is unwritten, the past still unresolved, but for the first time in a long while, Alex feels something like peace. But as night falls, his phone buzzes one last time. A new message, more chilling than the last. "You may have fooled them, but you'll never fool me." If you've ever struggled to leave the past behind, to forgive yourself or someone else, share your thoughts below. Your words might help someone searching for hope, but whose voice hides behind the threats, and will Alex ever truly be free from what haunts him? The days slip by, and though the wounds are still fresh, a quiet resilience takes root in the halls of Millertown High. Change arrives not with a crash, but in subtle shifts. A hand lifted in greeting, a seat left open at lunch, the silence that greets a cruel joke instead of laughter. Where once power rested in whispers and fear, now something softer begins to take hold. Alex notices it in small ways. The younger boy who once helped him with his locker now waves from across the courtyard. A group project partner, once distant, asks about his favorite book. Even Evan, still wary, chooses to sit alone rather than feed old habits. The tides have turned, not with a dramatic confrontation, but through the slow, stubborn persistence of one voice refusing to join the chorus of cruelty. At an assembly, the principal addresses the school, her words carefully chosen. "We are a community, and communities are built on trust and the courage to change." She doesn't name names, but her gaze lingers on faces in the crowd, some flushed with guilt, others raised in hope. Afterward, Alex finds a message slipped into his notebook. The handwriting is messy but sincere. "Thanks for not giving up. You helped more people than you know." He tucks the note away, feeling a strange swell of gratitude and humility. For so long, he carried the weight of being the new kid, the target. Now, others carry a little of that weight too, enough to make it lighter. But the threats haven't stopped. The anonymous messages arrive less frequently, but they are no less vicious. Still, something inside Alex has shifted. He no longer reads them with dread, but with a kind of defiance. He's seen what happens when you let fear dictate your life. He's decided he won't be ruled by shadows anymore. One afternoon, as rain streaks the windows, Sadie finds Alex sitting by himself in the library. She slides into the seat beside him, her presence a gentle anchor. "You know," she says, "you could stand up there at the next assembly and tell your story. Not just the bad parts, the way you kept going. Maybe it would help." Alex hesitates, but the idea plants a seed. That night he writes and rewrites what he would say. The words don't come easily, but he pushes on, determined not to let silence win. A week later, he stands on stage, heart pounding, palms damp. He tells his story, not as a confession, but as an act of bravery. He speaks of fear and regret, of violence and forgiveness, of starting over and finding unexpected friends. His voice cracks once, but he keeps going, and by the end, the auditorium is silent, not in judgment, but in understanding. When he finishes, there's no wild applause. Instead, there are quiet nods, a few tears, and later, students seeking him out to share their own secrets, their own storms weathered in silence. One by one, voices join his until it is no longer just his story, but the story of everyone who's ever felt powerless, lost, or alone. Alex walks home beneath a sky clearing after rain. His phone buzzes, a single new message. But this time it's not a threat. "You were brave today, thank you. If this moment moved you, or if you've ever been changed by someone's courage, tell us in the comments." Sometimes all it takes is one voice to start a chorus. But even as hope grows, one question remains. When the storm truly clears, what is left behind, and who will we choose to become? The weeks pass, and Millertown High seems quieter, as if everyone is learning to listen before they speak. The scars of the past linger, some visible, some hidden beneath layers of new trust. Yet in the ordinary rhythms of daily life, healing quietly takes root. A small group of students starts meeting after school, just to talk, to share stories, to remind each other they're not alone. Alex finds himself there, at first as a guest, then as a leader by example, not by intention. Even Evan and Marcus, changed in ways they cannot name, begin to drift toward these meetings. They never apologize for everything, not in so many words, but their presence is a gesture, an unspoken admission that pain, too, can be transformed. Sadie sits beside Alex, laughter returning to her eyes, and sometimes, in the lingering silences, she squeezes his hand. There is no romance, not yet, just the gentle promise of friendship, hard won. The threats eventually stop. The last message, left unanswered, becomes a ghost lost among the scroll of brighter conversations. In its place, words of encouragement flow. The younger boy who once offered a napkin now brings stories of his own, each one stitched with courage borrowed from Alex's example. One afternoon, Alex stands in the courtyard, the sun warm against his skin. He breathes in deeply, noticing how the light catches the leaves, how laughter travels farther on days like this. He closes his eyes, lets the moment linger. For so long, fear was the language he spoke. Now, possibility tastes sweet and unfamiliar. He walks past the notice board, glancing at the letters and notes pinned there, some from students he knows, others anonymous, stories of struggle and survival. One catches his eye, written in blue ink. Sometimes you have to walk through the storm to find the rainbow. Alex smiles, tucking the words into his memory. As the school year rolls forward, Alex is no longer just the new kid. He's a friend, a confidant, a quiet leader. The school is changed, never perfect, but more honest, more aware of the invisible battles waged behind every smile. Each day is a step toward forgiveness, not just of others, but of himself. On the last day before summer, the group gathers under the old oak tree behind the school. The air buzzes with promise. Sadie raises her phone, snapping a photo. Everyone together, eyes bright, a moment of stillness caught in time. Alex feels a swell of emotion, a mixture of gratitude, relief, and something he hasn't felt in years: hope. He looks at the faces around him, remembering the journey that brought them here. He remembers the storm, the pain, the moments he almost gave up. And he knows, without question, that none of them are the same as when the year began. He stands, dusts off his jeans, and takes a final steady breath. The story is no longer just his. It belongs to every voice that refused to stay silent, every hand that reached out in darkness. If this story touched something deep inside you, share in the comments what moved you most. And send this video to someone who needs to hear that no storm lasts forever, and no one is ever truly alone. Alex walks away from the old oak tree, laughter echoing behind him, the sun dipping low. A simple, hopeful gesture, a wave to the future.